Welcome to Transform Now, the podcast brought to you by robotic process automation pioneer SS&C Blue Prism. Digital transformation has the potential to reshape the way companies service their customers, engage their employees, and manage their operations. Whether you're looking to develop strategies, tactics, or best practices to positively impact the future of work, or you're curious to see how other companies have successfully navigated their digital transformation programs, then this podcast is for you. We're here to help you transform now.
Hello and welcome to Transform Now. This is Xina Seaton, Vice President of Customer Experience for SS&C Blue Prism and a co-founder of Women Powering Digital Transformation. I'm super pleased to have with me today Kieran Gilmurray. Hi, Kieran.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. I hope I didn't butcher your last name.
Don't worry, it's bang in the ballpark. I'll take it and run with it.
Awesome. Welcome to today's show.
Delighted to be here. Watched the podcast for quite some time. Now to get on it. How exciting.
Amazing. Why don't you take a few seconds to introduce yourself?
Yeah, look, I'm Kieran. I've been in business technology for about the last 27 years. I've seen most things come and go. I've really specialized in the intelligent automation space and the AI and data analytics space over the last 7, 8, 9 years. Really super space. Can't imagine being anywhere else. I'm addicted to change. I'm addicted to watching technology transform what we do in work and home and play. I can't believe someone pays me to actually sit and work in this industry, but for as long as they're willing to do that, I'm going to keep going.
I love that. Great. Well, let's dive right in. What are the digital trends and business imperatives that executives need to be paying attention to right now?
Quite a few, which makes this a daunting space to be in, because once upon a time, we used to be able to throw everything to our IT team, but that isn't the case. When we're talking about digital transformation, one of the biggest topics in our industry, we demand an executive team actually knows technology in amongst the other skills that we've got, because what we're seeing is at the highest level, something I call digital Darwinism. Not my phrase, unfortunately, someone thought of it before me, but firms are going to digitally transform and use technology to excel, or they're not going to be here. And I take no joy or satisfaction in saying that. But if they do not use tech, then the world will move beyond them, much like it did the dinosaurs. You know, that's at the highest level. The challenge for a lot of executive teams is, one, knowledge and education. They need to educate themselves or bring in someone who does, because to design a great business strategy means these days understanding technology and the power of it and whatever else. A lot of teams sit and wait and wonder what to do. There is no best time. There is no best tool. The worst time to digitally transform is tomorrow. And lots of companies, unfortunately, are still trying to do that. What you're seeing at the broadest scale, before we dive into some of our other questions, is a move to cloud, SaaS platforms or fabrics, a move to subscription. You know, all that is driven for a lot of companies, really great opportunity, particularly around the fact that they're not having to hire vastly experienced, expensive teams to manage till inside of their enterprise. They can now spin up a website in hours, as opposed to doing what I did when I started 20 years ago, ordering a computer or a server from Dell and waiting weeks, hoping it arrived, and then trying to build from there. But there's immense computing power, immense amount of AI, immense amount of data that they can take value and access. And you're starting to see, particularly with remote working, people taking or being forced to use those things. And sometimes it takes a burning platform to get people to move, as opposed to recognizing there's an amazing different future for them. What you will then see, and this is one of the challenges, there's that many SaaS platforms and fabrics out there that connecting them together is going to be a big challenge for firms. But you're starting to see a lot of iPaaS tools, a lot of RPA and IA and AI APIs and BPM software being used to connect and then coordinate these things together. And probably one of the biggest things I see in industry as well, on top of making use of all of this great technology and learning how to use it and adjusting your business strategy, is do this securely. Cybersecurity is not a nice to have. It used to be, potentially at one stage. Now it's a business imperative, because hacking isn't for script kiddies. There's national actors, there's dedicated criminal networks involved. And with everything online, all of that information and all of that stuff that you then turn into money is highly increasingly invaluable, and therefore you need to protect it and your reputation as well.
It can be a bit overwhelming.
It can be. And that's where people don't transform because they worry or they wait. They shouldn't, because the technology works. The expertise is in the market. If it's not within your business, go and buy it in. There's enough people in the world who are able to do it. But do insist on a brain transfer so that you're not constantly at the behest of a third party who is earning more and more money out of you. You really have to build digital capabilities and digital skills or digital DNA within your organization if you're going to succeed today, tomorrow, and the next day. As I said, the worst time to transform is tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. Yesterday's too late. So look, it isn't too late still. Just move forward. Don't wait. Go and buy the expertise as you need.
Thanks for that. I love that quote. So what are the key digital transformation strategies and success factors that companies deploying digital solutions need to have in mind today?
Yeah, again, massive question, but let's boil it down a little bit. The key one for me and the base of everything is culture. We hear this continually. We're not too sure what it really means. But people transform businesses, not technology. The technology is the tool. The people make it happen. But people are scared of technology. Not always, not everyone. But the stories that have been going around in the press at this moment in time about job losses and how the world will change, I'm not surprised people are scared. And therefore, your people strategy needs to be entwined with your business strategy. We need to understand and appreciate that people are scared of tech and how it might impact them. And therefore, we need to build a people strategy surrounding those individuals, paint a bright and shiny picture of the future, outline and understand, having done an impact assessment on roles and business skills and needs, and make sure that people are actually getting the help that they need all along that journey. And some people won't want to go on the journey, and that's okay. We're better in a different seat, a different bus, going on a different journey. But you can't complain your team aren't delivering if you don't tell them where they're going on this journey, and if you don't teach them how to drive, for want of a better phrase. We need to make sure that we're actually listening to people, because as the world changes and things move on, are we doing retrospectives? Are we doing learning? Are we taking any action and communication from that learning? Are we communicating the wins to keep people incentivized? Or are we just talking about the challenges? Changes take time, and therefore we need to listen today, tomorrow, and every other day. Digital transformation isn't a project. It's an ongoing endeavor which can scare people. But again, when you look at how we've come on as a society over the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, like you can't imagine us being able to do this without hiring an entire production studio. Now anybody can be a content creator, relatively speaking. Anybody can set up a business online. The technology that we've got that is creating amazing experiences for us in our personal lives can create amazing experiences for us in our working lives, and create amazing experience for our customers as well, to develop those client relationships. So if we can make sure that we bring the people with us, we train them, we create amazing experiences. We have a leadership and an executive team, that are absolutely aligned, bought into this, advocating for it, responsible for it. Their KPIs, their performance, and their accountability and success is dependent upon it. If they have skin in this game, ultimately all those things going together with the right investment, with everybody moving in the right direction in terms of mindset, technology, pace, and desire. If we get all those things together, then as a digital strategy unfolds, and it will unfold and it will change, it will be more likely to be successful than anything else.
So let's say we get the people part right. Huge challenge, but let's say we've got the people part right. What is the most difficult part of digital transformation?
It probably goes back to just, you mentioned people, it's automation or intelligent automation or digital transformation, dirty secret. It's still the people. There's a great book called Who Moved My Cheese. It identifies 3 types of people. I know the world's a bit more complicated, but it talks to those. Some people run toward change. Fantastic. They will keep going no matter what. They will keep innovating and creating new ventures, going in new directions. Some people sit in the middle going, oh, I'm not too sure what to do. And some people will not like change, never have, never will. So people can either make this work or stop it from working. But if a third wanted to work and 2/3 are on the fence or not, then you already see some of the problems you have. It does go back earlier on to that resistance and that cultural piece. COVID, for better, for worse, the one thing I've seen in it that was a positive, and I tend to take positives, is that organizational silos got broken down, where people were in their fiefdoms. Not finance weren't communicating with IT weren't communicating with customer services and so on. We got to see each other as real people, And we delivered the leadership ourselves. We didn't wait on our executive team's provision or to tell us what to do. We all got together. We understand, that Brian, who was in his kitchen with a cat flying past his head, was the same as Susan, who was out in her garden with the dog, and all the problems that we have on a daily basis made us all the more human. But people can be the greatest block and the greatest savior to transformation programs. Lack of preparation is the difficult piece. Right. I've seen leadership teams going, right, transform. Well, what do you mean? So no vision or nothing else, or they hand it over to IT. Well, that's technology. IT will help the business transform. This is a change management strategy. So it's incumbent upon IT leadership to be literate when it comes to digital tech. And therefore you shouldn't be hiring someone or investing in someone if they're not these days. Don't delegate it down. Change is hard. Let's not beat about the bush. For someone like me, they say, look, it's lifelong learning. You're going to have to reinvest your skills every so many years to get all the stuff you've learned. That excites the life out of me. But I'm not like everyone else, nor do I expect anyone to be like me. We do need to be conscious that this is difficult. This is challenging. But in life, comfort and growth never go together. So therefore, we have to embrace the fact that, change is going to be hard, but ultimately the success and the benefits we're going to enjoy at the end of the transformation are far better than the start of the transformation. The key bit is to stay on side. The key bit is to stay motivated. And to do that, you need to celebrate the wins. And when you get bumps in the road, and there will be bumps in the road, take lessons from them. Don't panic or react. Companies need to show that type of leadership and create a fail-forward culture that encourages people to feel psychologically safe, ready and willing to grow and change the firm and change the relationship with each other and the customers to really make success of any digital transformation or any technology-driven change.
Agree. So with more and more digital skills needed to be successful in the future, what can individual managers and leaders do to develop the existing talent they have today to be more digitally savvy and accepting, so that others will come along on this journey with them?
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant question, because one of the saddest things I've seen in my life is leaders have not tied a successful people strategy around their business strategy. And therefore, when digital happened, they got surprised. And then they went, oh my goodness, our team are awful. They don't have the skills we need. I always took that as a failure in leadership, never a failure in the individuals within inside of the organization. Now, we ourselves have a responsibility to constantly educate ourselves. We can't expect a business to, do everything for us all day long, every day long. So there is accountability. But it goes back to that piece there. Look, we need to keep educating ourselves, and our businesses need to wrap the people strategy around the business strategy. It is lifelong learning. The world is changing all the time. We need to horizon scan ourselves to make sure that our skills are what's needed in the world. Businesses need to horizon scan to see where the world is going to change and where technology and digital is going to impact as best as it can, and then create education programs, and then use that education to invest in our biggest assets, which is ourselves and our teams. That people strategy bit, I can't emphasize it enough. And I repeated earlier on, people transform businesses, not technology. Are we doing right by our people? I don't see too many firms going, okay, let's have a career path in place for you the moment you start. It's normally a poor induction plan, right, go. And a couple of years later, you discover your skills are out of date because the firm hasn't kept up, nor have you to some degree. What I would love to see the best firms doing is, okay, an educated technology, digitally literate leadership, painting a bright and shiny picture into the future, who really have looked forward to go, okay, not just in their own industry, but others. Where do we need to go? Where's the market going? What's the zeitgeist teaching us and everything else? Okay, people strategy, we need you to help us train and develop and retain our best people with all that knowledge they've built up over the years. And if we need others to come in to provide additional skills to add a different mix to this particular people cake, then let's do that as well. But when someone starts, or even people are in the organization, let's set a really clear roadmap out in front of them that excites them and delights them and stretches them and grows them and moves them out of their comfort zone, but always in a supported and supportive way. But we can never be too busy to try and transform our people. But let's do all that to make the most of our people and augment them with fantastic digital tooling and ongoing education so that constantly we're creating what I call impact multipliers and other individuals who have amazing skills and have got amazing technology around them to create an amazing business.
I believe a few years back, I think it was a World Economic Forum stat, I heard that third graders who will be beginning their careers in 20 years' time from now will be stepping into careers that don't even exist today. And I think that's very true. In fact, both of our jobs didn't exist when we were third graders. What is the responsibility of educational leaders in preparing these young adults for the digital world that they'll be stepping into tomorrow?
A brilliant question, Xina, again, because as kids, we don't really know the world. We're exposed to it more and more and more by technology. So when I was a kid, if you wanted to learn about the other end of the world, you got an encyclopedia out and you looked at it. Now you have the world at your fingertips. You have every book that you could ever imagine. You can access some of the greatest minds in the world through social platforms, email, web interfaces like this and whatever else. But as a third grader, you do not know. We're trying to create well-rounded individuals for the future and always worry that we're putting people through a factory model where we teach them skills that they will need in their jobs. I hope we don't do that. I hope we do part of that. Sorry, let me rephrase that. I hope we give them the digital skills and the wherewithal to understand and be productive when it comes to the skills that are required in work. I also hope, and I'm not seeing too many examples of this, that we alert them to the dangers of technology and the world. So, for example, without naming any of the social media engines too vigorously, you have to be conscious that what is there is not necessarily rigorous, well-formed, well-established, scrutinized journalism, and therefore don't read all you see in front of you and believe it. You also have to recognize that you're sometimes at the behest of an algorithm. So the more extreme views tend to get more reactions. The more reactions tend to keep eyeballs on social media platforms longer, which tends to attract more dollars. So again, I not only hope we give them the technology skills, but we give them the comeuppance or the wherewithal to critically judge what it is they're seeing in front of them and to look for a variety of other examples. I also hope we teach them more than just tech. If we're training people in third grade to sit 10 hours a day in front of a television screen and we're calling that the best education that we can, that's probably not the best education that I would recommend for everyone. What about literature? What about art? What about science? What about sociology? What about all the things that make us intimately human and creative and wonderful? And what about other stuff? I don't want to teach people to sit in front of a computer screen and never talk. What about those communication skills that when we look to what really is going to derive value in the future, the tech will be amazing. It allows us to do things now we could never imagine. In 20 years' time, I'm not necessarily talking about hyperloop or flying cars, but the tech will do amazing things. We'd be talking to our computers and getting to do something. So then the real skills will be if we can get computers to do a lot of that mundane manual, but sometimes creative or higher value stuff that we so put in human hands, then what's left for us? And that really comes down to human intuition, human creativity, the ability to communicate and join with others across the globe, because technology has killed distance. We're no longer just a product of down the road from the school. If we can teach people all those human skills, communication skills, working at distance, working across cultures, all in person and remotely and everything else, then surely we will have created a well-rounded education system that prepares people for a future that they create and that they're not subject to or at the end of an algorithm and derided or derived by that. I think it is an exciting time, but I think it's a scary time. I also hope we protect our kids and whatever else. When you see cyberbullying, whatever else, when you see something like Twitter at times where the masses pile in for the pure amusement, as you see someone getting abused, or where you see the narrative twisted for a particular agenda, I hope we turn out to be better than that in society.
Yes, I do too. I'm sure our listeners can tell we're in very different parts of the world just by listening to our accents. We obviously sound very different. I do think that it's extremely important that we have the tech. The tech world has moved so quickly. that thinking about how to interpret what you're reading hasn't really kept up with the technology. I also don't think that everyone appreciates the algorithm aspect that you brought to light there. So it's very important to start making sure everyone is aware of those things at work, and not just those of us who spend our world in the tech aspect every day, all day.
No,
Um,
we have responsibility, don't we, Zena, to educate the world. There's a great book called Zucked by one of the past employees of Facebook, for example. I would recommend that to people. Again, you know, read it, but form your own opinions and your own views. That's the joy of education. You have access to so many things that you should never subscribe to someone else's view. Take a variety of input, and then you decide as an individual yourself what you think. And this is the beautiful bit where we come from all these different countries and cultures and everything else. We really have a rich tapestry that we need to admire and make the most of, as opposed to find differences and divisions. I find in all the places I've been in the world, online, offline, and I used to teach English as a foreign language, so I was an educator. I've lived in different countries across the world to do that. I've never met very many bad people in the world. I've met the vast majority of wonderful, amazing people, no matter the place, the location, or the culture. It's just up to us to listen a little bit more and to celebrate difference and diversity, as opposed to marginalizing it and victimizing those who maybe are different than us. That's something we should celebrate, not deride.
Absolutely. Well, I think diversity is key to make the world work and tech solutions more acceptable in a way that everybody can participate in. I think it's really, really important. So before we close today, one final question. Why should businesses that have other priorities invest in digital transformation right now? How do you get that level of executive sponsorship so that you can tackle some of these big challenges that we've talked about today?
And why is it a priority? I suppose the biggest thing is seeing the way we've seen the world moving is everything is moving online. I wish we were a lot more organized in the world, and it didn't take a burning platform to cause us to move in a particular direction and jump, but very often it actually does. Be much easier if we planned change and took time to do it, but sadly we don't. So there is a digital imperative. It goes back to that digital Darwinism I mentioned earlier on. If you don't transform, you're not going to be in business. If you don't deliver your services through some element of digital in this digital age, then it isn't an either or. You know, it's you either do it or you're out of business. Those organizations, and you've seen this particularly during the pandemic, that had previously and did create exceptional digital experience for their staff and for their clients, they're accelerating, they're going forward, they're not dying, they're pushing past and beyond those firms who are in it. But it's not just the digital experience. It goes back to this little bit about a digital mindset, you know, and that means not an IT team doing transformation. That means everybody in the organization thinking, how can we adjust and deliver and create these exceptional internal and external experiences using digital tooling? Technology, though, isn't everything. People change businesses, not technology, as I said. If you augment amazingly well-trained, well-developed, well-rounded, well-educated people with amazing technology, imagine the multiplier that you will get from both. The question is, you know, if it's not a current priority, I don't know where you've been. Make it a priority. Tomorrow's the worst day. Today's the best day. If you haven't begun, then begin. And if you're not willing to begin, then shut down the firm, walk away, hand over the cash, put it in a place where someone else is actually going to do this. I hate saying that, but the world, this is a digital age where we need to make sure humanity is front and center. So by not actually investing in digital transformation, you will find that you won't be here if you're not willing to move.
Yeah, right. And there are so many examples of that.
No, there's tons out there that have disappeared. If you look at I think in the UK is the FTSE 100, top 100 companies by stock market listening. In the US, I think there's 500 firms. Very few of the firms that were in that 20 years ago exist today. And most of those have been a victim of not financial mismanagement. Most of those have been a victim of actually not moving with the times. So where you mentioned a moment ago, what's the priorities for organizations to have a digital strategy or digitally transform? Well, there's all the physical and financial evidence that you need in front of you. We don't even remember the names of firms that were once worth billions that have disappeared, nor will people remember the names of a lot of the firms that exist today. That's in 20 years' time. So scary fact, but it is a fact.
It's the absolute perfect reason to act right now. So, Kieran, anything that you'd like to add? Any closing thoughts before we conclude for today?
No, look, I wish everyone really well in the journey. It is an exciting space, but please don't forget people on that journey. That cultural piece we met at the beginning, we should end on. It's really, really important. If you do need help, as crazy as it sounds, and I wrote this not for myself, but for other people, I wrote a book, The A to Z of Organizational Digital Transformation, a business manager's practical, no BS guide to how to do this. And it's not just my words. There's 90 other real world expert practitioners who have gone into that book. So there's 150 quotes, 26 chapters, 6 case studies, 7 deep dive business cases in there, and whatever you need to allow people to do this. I wish everyone success doing this. If I can help someone, please reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on all the social channels as well. I would love to see more people succeeding, because the more we succeed collectively, the bigger the pie, and the bigger the pie, the bigger the benefit to more people around the globe. That's something I'm passionate about, not about seeing people getting out of business because of scary digital transformation. It doesn't have to be scary. Just start.
Yes, that's right, listeners. And we will link to Kieran's book and his LinkedIn profile in our show notes. So check out there and be sure to connect with Kieran if you are interested in doing so. Kieran, thank you so much again for joining us today.
Pleasure. Really delighted. Best wishes to you and to everyone else on the show.
Thank you. And thank you, listeners, as well, for joining in. Until next time, this is Xina signing off.
Thanks for tuning in to Transform Now. For more insightful discussions on digital transformation and more, check out our podcast channel where you'll find all of our previous episodes. And to make sure you never miss an episode, subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast player. And if you like what you've heard, please leave us a review. For more information about digital transformation and the future of work, check out blueprism.com to learn how SS&C Blue Prism's digital workforce is enabling enterprise transformation now.